Hello everyone, my name is Corey, or Everything Fantasy, and welcome to another video where this time we're going to create a beautiful theme from scratch. So in the last video where I did this kind of thing, we created an investigation theme based on a random Danganronpa scenario. This time we're going to do the same thing, but for a beautiful theme. So first of all, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to do another thing like this, asking you for what type of thing you want me to do next. But also let me know in the comments down below what ideas you have. I'm very open to doing this for an actual Fangan project as well, so if you have any, definitely let me know. I have a Patreon and a Discord, so definitely make sure to join those. Patreon has exciting rewards and the Discord community is absolutely incredible. You're genuinely missing out if you're not part of the Discord, where we're currently running our own investigation game, so definitely make sure to join if you want to take part in all the fun. So the beautiful themes, or the daily life themes in Danganronpa, these are the themes that we hear when we're exploring the new setting for the first time. Whether it's a school, or an island, or whatever it is, these are the themes we hear when we're first introduced to the environment. We're talking about the likes of Beautiful Lie, Beautiful Ruin, and Beautiful Dead. Now of course there are a few different other types of daily life themes, but we're mainly focusing on what I call the core daily life themes. The main ones that we associate with each Danganronpa game, and most importantly, it's that theme we hear when we're first introduced to the new environment. So it serves an incredibly important role in actually setting the environment, the mood, the tone, and even the characters of the entire game. So if you follow the channel for long, you'll know that I've done analysis videos on the beautiful themes, talking about what makes a beautiful theme effectively. What sort of instruments do we hear, what are the arrangement styles, that kind of thing. And believe me, we'll be incorporating many of those ideas in this experiment. I don't know exactly what I'm going to create. I don't even know the scenario yet. We are literally going to try and do this completely from scratch and just make it up as we go along, which is always how it works when it comes to music anyway. So in order to begin, I'm going to use exactly the same thing that I did last time for the investigation video. There's a wonderfully created Danganronpa generator, shout out to whoever made this actually, which just randomly generates Danganronpa-esque scenarios. So I've just gone to the website and we have Killing Game 86, location, private island, the protagonist, Murasaki Ochi, and some characteristics of who Murasaki is. So we're going to randomize this and get a new scenario. As I said for the last video, I'm only going to do this once, even if it's something I absolutely hate, I'm gonna stick to it. So I'm already dreading how this will go, but okay, let's go for this. We have a closed off park. Interesting. I can work with that. A closed off park reveals a lot and very little at the same time, but I think we can work with this and kind of create something which emulates the possibility of having a killing game in a closed off park. Now we have the protagonist, Yuzu Kobayashi, Ultimate Baton Twirler. What does that even mean? The Ultimate Baton Twirler? I'm gonna have to look this. I don't even know what this is getting at. Oh, okay. I get what baton twirling is. I didn't know that was the name for it. But okay, so it looks like the protagonist of this made-up scenario is a baton twirler. So, with the killing game scenario decided, as well as the protagonist and all of that stuff, now we have to figure out how we're going to represent this through music. So my starting point is a piano. And the piano is quite important actually, because in all of the daily life themes, there is a piano. So inevitably there's going to be piano in this particular track as well. I don't know how it's going to play yet or what form it's going to take, but we know that a piano is going to exist. For instance, we have Beautiful Lie. We have Beautiful Dead, which is much more melancholic and somber in terms of how it comes across. And of course, the really interesting one is Beautiful Ruin, because that pretty much sets the entire tone and theme for the entire game. The thing that strikes me as really interesting in regards to Beautiful Ruin is that through things like hearing birds chirping and kind of really bright synthesizers, as well as having literally pitched percussion playing the melody and everything, we can clearly tell that we're on an island very easily. So I've googled closed off park, and this is the sort of pictures that come across. I don't know why we've got a bear there, but to me it seems quite haunting in a sense. I didn't really think about it in this way when I originally saw the prompt, but a closed off park, there's a haunting sense of it. It's like, oh, this is where children used to play and that sort of thing. I've got a better sense of where I want to go with this now, thinking about it from that perspective. Looking at these images actually helped a lot thinking about it. One thing that really comes to mind for me is AI the Somnium Files, and the opening, which I don't think this is a spoiler to say, the opening being in a circus. The music you hear, which is very circus-like, but the environment itself strikes me as being very similar to the feeling that you'd get in a closed-off park. And I imagine the characters, particularly the main protagonist in this, especially someone who's an ultimate baton twirler, someone who's used to entertaining and being exciting, walking through this very haunting, closed-off park and thinking, why am I here? What's going on? This is so terrifying. So immediately I think to myself, the opening is probably going to be quite ambient. Then it's going to build up to a piece of music which I think is actually going to sound close to Beautiful Dead in style. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. We're getting close to like an 84 BPM. I think that's going to work for what I'm trying to achieve. That's going to sound like something very insignificant to begin with. You've just got me playing a C and a D. And the immediate thing I'm going to do is add a very lush, long, almost haunting style reverb to it. And now I think you'll start to hear the effect that I'm trying to achieve. I've now added a plugin called Valhalla Shimmer. It's amazing in creating ambiences like what I'm trying to achieve really, really easily. This is currently what it sounds like. I am going to make it pre-fader. The difference simply meaning that the level of the reverb will not follow this fader. So in other words, if I make the piano quieter, that's not going to change the level that's being sent to the reverb. Now you can hear less of the piano and more of the reverb sound, which is what I really, really want. I should say, actually, from the outset, we are accidentally working in C minor. C minor sounds like this. There's just kind of like a haunting resonance that's happening really, really quietly. And I'm starting to feel that sense of like something mysterious is happening here. And that's exactly what I want to create. So let's add to this. So now I'm going to add a synth. Make sure that the attack times are really long. This is what it sounds like. I like that. It's a very haunting sound, but it feels open as well, which I quite like. So let's record that in. This is very spooky sounding. I quite like this so far. I've decided that bar 2, I actually do want to change notes a little bit. And here's what it sounds like so far. That last note is definitely wrong somewhere. That was scarier than I wanted it to be. And it's because it was playing a C sharp instead of a C. Now it sounds like this. So with all of this then, I'm gonna do something that's just come to mind. It's very similar to what I did in the previous video on the investigation themes. I'm gonna use a sound effect, and I can think of exactly the sort of thing I want. I almost want like, all like the playsets, the jungle gyms and that sort of thing. I want there to be like a rattling of those sorts of sounds happening in the background, like really, really quietly, just to give this haunting sensation that, oh, this closed off park is like somewhere where like people used to run and jump and play around. You can imagine like a swing, for example, blowing in the wind really, really quietly. I found this really nice sound actually, that's just... Let's see how it sounds. That's one sound effect which I think is going to be quite useful. I also want the sound of the wind, because I'm imagining a sort of open, very windy park kind of thing. The first thing I'm going to do with this wind sound is just cut away some of the low end. Because we don't need it so much. I can imagine the idea that maybe it is raining as well, because I think I hear some rain in there. I want to add some movement to the sound too. I'm using Pan Man, which just moves it between left and the right channels. And it's going to be not too fast as well. Just a little bit, even a little bit slower than that, not too wide. You're only gonna be able to hear this if you're wearing headphones or if you're on speakers or anything. But we're gonna hear a movement from left to right. So it's left, moves over to the right. That kind of thing. I'm also gonna make this pre-fader as well. So all we're hearing right now is the reverb. And I'm gonna bring in that wind sound too. So let's hear how it sounds all together so far. So I'm just gonna do a quick organization just to make things a little bit clearer. So when it repeats for the second time, what I want to do is add a little bit of movement, a little bit of changes in the piano part. This is sounding scarier than I imagined, actually. I didn't know I'd be creating a spooky... Well, it's coming up to Halloween, actually. I didn't realize that bit. But I didn't realize I'd be creating something so spooky sounding already. I also like the idea of having this sort of more stringy, more classic sounding synth happening too, very similar to Beautiful Dead. So I'm going to do that now. But let me just try something and see what happens. I like that. I like that. Oh, it's so warm sounding and kind of it's starting to feel richer, which I really like. So I've been adjusting a sawtooth wave, and this is what we have. The final thing that I want to add to this is just some percussion. And I think I'm going to add a sort of noise swell. to introduce the main section. So I decided to use Stylus RMX again. Same percussion library that's used in many Danganronpa tracks. 79 shifted jazz is what is actually used in Beautiful Dead. Naturally, it's going to be slower than what you would have heard in Beautiful Dead, purely because I'm using quite a slow BPM. But I actually think this could work quite well in creating the feel that I want. Something which isn't too aggressive, but it's just incredibly rhythmic at the same time. Let's increase the loudness. And then we enter the main melody. So the final thing I wanted to add is just a noise swell to take us from this build-up to the main section. I have another instance of Stylus RMX loaded up, and in this time I've loaded up Chill D, and I have a feeling that I'm going to want to make this the main percussion sound. But before I do that, I actually want to add this and just see what it does. And I'm gonna make it start halfway through. So let's see what this does. I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but let's just see for now. I actually really liked it. So now we can move on to the main section of the piece now. It's pretty much smooth sailing from here. We'd like to think, but who knows. So the percussion sound I want to use in the end is not too aggressive, but I think is going to do a really, really nice job of just like keeping the feel of the intro, but also allowing room for me to actually start playing keys and stuff over the track. So this is what it sounds like. Very light, and I think I recognize it from another Danganronpa track. I can't remember which one though off the top of my head. I feel like I want an electric piano, partly because I just like electric pianos a lot, but I think it's gonna add the feel that I want to achieve with the main melody section. So I'm just gonna, and this is what I often do, I'm just gonna hit record and just see what happens. I don't know where this is going to go. I'll probably change a few things, but we'll see. So let's go. I quite like that actually. It's really soft and quite elegant in a way. The percussion was supposed to keep going, but I didn't extend it for that long. Now there definitely needs to be something to transition the intro and the main melody better. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just extend the wind sound, just so it's a bit more consistent. I might also play something on the top of it with that haunting piano sound. These are mainly things just to help there be a little bit more continuity between the intro section and what happens afterwards. I liked some of that. I didn't like some other parts of it. Let's play this back after I've done some edits now and see what this sounds like. Now we need to add bass to it. And I think I might use a different one from there. So now I want to add that sort of noise swell that I was considering a little bit before. So to do that, I've opened Retrolog. And this is just going to be effects galore. That sort of thing. That kind of thing. I really like that, actually. There's a percussion, that chilled percussion sound, this. I want it to keep going. I think it works really, really well. I want to re-add that noise swell here, just before we transition into that next section. So, in Beautiful Dead, Beautiful Ruin does this, and Beautiful Lie does this as well. The section that comes after this bit is always there's like an ambience I'd describe it as. So let's take Beautiful Dead as an example. Beautiful Lie does a very similar thing too. We're going to do something which is really similar to Beautiful Dead, but I think it's probably going to work quite well here. I wasn't expecting to follow Beautiful Dead so closely, but I think it works here. And we can have the percussion going into this section as well. And I want the electric piano to do something like this. So let's try it. Let's play that in. wasn't expecting to go. But it kind of works here, actually. I quite like it. Now we can reintroduce some of the synths as well. In fact, I want to make this synth more aggressive, so I'm going to duplicate it and not have so much decay and not so much attack as well. You know what? This needs to be fizzier. Let's try that. I messed up the last two notes, but we can change that. Now we need to add some piano improv over there. That worked quite well, actually. And then after that section is where we go back to similar to the intro again, or we could do another verse, for example. But what we have so far I actually really like. I think it sounds like a working, beautiful theme for this setting in this location. So let's hear it from start to finish. So originally when I first set out to do this, I wasn't expecting to get a closed off park. And immediately it kind of seemed a bit intimidating because it's not the most expected and predictable location. When people come to me and approach me with like fangans and things like that, this is not the location that I often see. It's things like underwater arena or school or something absolutely absurd, not something which seems a bit more melancholy and so ordinary in a sense. A closed-off park, and I'm imagining how that could function in a Danganronpa game. And being inspired by Beautiful Dead, I think helped to create a feel which is very similar to the idea of approaching a school for the first time, but being thrown into a killing game. In this instance, being thrown into a closed-off park into a killing game. Now, I think there's still things that could be done in terms of adding that feel of the protagonist a little bit. I'm still not sure how that could be weaved in, whether it's through the use of sounds or instruments or adding a key change or something, but I think the overall context has been established here. Using the wind, for example, I think just helps a lot to enable me to feel like I'm outdoors, for instance. So, I really enjoyed doing this one actually. It was more of a challenge than the last one because the last time we had hijacked private jet, and I think that tells itself in terms of the feel that we're trying to create. This is a bit more thoughtful. You wouldn't expect this for a Danganronpa killing game, but at the same time, I think that's why it works so well. It's not trying to be too extreme in terms of the location. It's a closed-off park. There's kind of an area of freedom that you can interpret that idea with. And that's why I really enjoyed creating this one. So, hope you enjoyed watching this one, and definitely let me know in the comments down below what sort of tracks you want me to create in the future, whether it's execution themes, for example, or themes from inspired from a different game entirely. Definitely open to anything. But for now, thanks for watching and take care.